Matandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. Happy Thursday. It's a big day in the NFL. Today's NFL Draft Day, so happy NFL Draft Day to all the fans out there. And also good luck to all the players tonight, the young talent that are going to get drafted here. And this is where all the dreams become reality. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now we have another episode. This is episode 1009. We are joined by former NFL tight end Jason Dunn. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. He went to college for Eastern Kentucky. And fans, please tune in. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, on all those podcast platforms. And fans, you can ask questions to Jason Dunn today on our Spreaker app. So please tune in on Spreaker. But first of all, Jason, thank you for joining the show today. It's truly an honor, especially on a big day, NFL Draft Day. Good timing to get you on the show. And first of all, how are you and your family doing today? And obviously, I heard we were talking about your sister before, so shout out to your sister. Wishing her a speedy recovery, and our prayers and thoughts are with her. So I just want to get that out of the way. But first of all, how are you guys doing?
We're doing well, man. We holding in strong. We're really faithful people, and so we know God has got us, and we're just faithful in that. But it's a beautiful day out here. It's a beautiful day just for the entire NFL, the country, like you said, for the young kids that's coming out of college. And will have a chance to actually change their lives. And so this is going to be a lot of highs and lows today. Hopefully, a lot more highs than it is lows. Because it's expectations sometimes doesn't always pan out like you want them to, but it gives guys an opportunity. And so I'm really encouraged by that. I want the guys to know this process in itself is just enjoy it, and just this process in itself is one thing that you just really can't take for granted, because it's only going to happen once. That you get drafted, may not get drafted, but still have an opportunity to play on the NFL team. So with that, man, everything is good. It's beautiful. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, no problem. I can't wait. And Jason Dunn has been he has been on a lot of other shows also. Please listen in. This is gonna be a good one. Jason, let's start with your draft experience. You got drafted in 1996, round 2, pick 54 by the Eagles. So take us back to that day. Obviously the draft was different from now till then, but what was it like being part of your being part of it with your family, waiting for your name to be called?
You know what? It was really a emotional roller coaster, if you will. People say it a lot, but it really was like that day. For the simple fact that you have your whole family around you, people that love you, who just looking for success and all the great things that come your way. And also too, you're wondering who's going to be the one to call your name. And so kind of that day for me was, really topsy-turvy, because I was expecting, I was rated the number 1 tight end coming out in a lot of the picks, and a lot of the scouts, and, a lot of the teams. And so I thought it was going to be a first round pick. Like I said, I led a lot of the, the tight ends at the time. And I was the 3rd tight end actually taken that draft. And so we had a really good draft. I came in with some really good guys with Philadelphia, Jermaine Mayberry, and I came in with also too Brian. I'm sorry. I came in. I don't know why I just lost my credit.
Is it Brian Dawkins? Brian Dawkins? No, right?
Brian Dawkins. Me and Baby Boy came in. Brian Dawkins, Ray Farmer. I'm trying to think who else came in. Tony Johnson. I'm trying to think who else we had. Philip Riley, Diallo Burks. There was a lot of guys that came in that year. And so it was a good group of guys that we had. Oh, Bobby Hoying from Ohio State at the time. So it was. Like I said, it was a lot of, highs and lows. I'm kind of going back to that, remembering feeling of it, so.
Oh, Ricky Waters. Ricky Waters too.
Yeah, Ricky Waters is up in Philly at the time already. So he'd already been drafted. But just going to the team, there was a lot of great guys on the team when I got up there. Ricky Waters, I had Rodney Peete, Ty Detmer, Chris T. Jones. We got, Irvin Fryer. There's a lot of great guys. Charlie Gardner. So there was a lot of good guys, man, that we had that was on the field that we were going to. And so Ray Rose was the head coach at the time, and Ray was, and he is a huge character, man. I love Ray just because of what he gave to the team, in his talks and how he approached everything. Really great coach. I really enjoyed Ray a lot. But yeah, the day, man, in itself was an incredible day. So.
Yeah, so you're gonna like this. Speaking of Eagle former, we also had Barrett Brooks, Fred Barnett, and Bobby Taylor on the show. So
BT, yeah. Barrett Brooks, yeah. There's a lot, man, and all the names. I could go through the whole, the lineup if you will. I don't know we have much time, but yeah. But those guys, yeah, BT. We ended up getting Troy Vincent. Troy Vincent came on with us. Yeah, so there was a lot of guys, man. William Fuller, William Thomas. Willis, linebacker. I mean, we had a good array of guys. Kevin Turner, I don't know if I said Kevin Turner before, but he was there. So God rest his soul too, man. Kevin was a great guy. So no, it was a good time. It was a good time up there in Philly, man. And I enjoyed the fans. It's an incredible city. Something I wasn't used to down at EKU. A guy coming from I want to say smaller school,
right?
Come up to a big city and playing in front of 75, 80,000 people was, man, like I said, life changing. It just kind of opened my eyes a whole lot. But I wanted, like, once I got drafted, I wanted to show the people what I could do. I wanted to show the people because, when I was telling you about the highs and the lows, actually, when I got drafted second round, I was a little disappointed because, like I said before, I had, where I was rated, I thought I was going to be a first round pick. And I actually had some teams call me during the first round. But that 96 draft, I don't know if you remember this or not. A lot of people may will, but that was like the year of the wide receiver. And so we had a lot of those guys that came out. Keyshawn Johnson. You start naming it, like you just start going through all these guys, man. That was pivotal, and we're talking. Did a Terrell Owens. Like we start going like the names, man. There was some really good guys in that draft. Eddie Kennison. I mean, man. I'm just thinking right now. So,
yeah. So speaking of, I want to pick you off from in my opinion, when it comes to colleges, it doesn't matter small or big. It's just how hard the players work and how they can get the team's attention. And for you, you worked hard throughout your career. It doesn't matter which college you went to. It's just a matter if you want to get to your goal, you got to work at it, and all these athletes work at it. So for you, what would you say the best piece of advice you got before you got drafted, during draft day or before the draft? What would you say your one best piece of advice you got from someone else before you got drafted?
Before I got drafted, best piece of advice was just, when you go up there, man, just, hey, you played this game before. Always work hard. Always work hard to be successful. And that was one of the things that I know because, I grew up in the country, man, farm across from us. So I had a lot of hard work when I grew up. So I knew what that meant. I'm the youngest out of 11 kids. So I knew what that, as far as, supporting one another, being in the team atmosphere, and loving each other. And that's what football gave us too. But that was it, man. Like, just working hard, enjoy the process. And also too, if you can play, they'll find you. That was one of the biggest keys. I always took away, like, look, I don't care where you at, what school you play at, you have enough of the goal and the success and the drive, teams will find you. That's what they pay the scouts for. They pay them big money to go find diamonds in the rough or guys that we feel like maybe turn into something, have a great career. And so, hey, if you got the talent to play in the NFL, they will find you. They'll try their best to find you. So,
yeah. So let's talk about the tight end position. You're a tall tight end. You were known for blocking and the physique, and you brought the toughness to the game. And there's in this generation, you can't find tight ends like that. But the one tight end that maybe compares to you is Gronk, who's still playing. He has a physical nature like you do. He's bringing the toughness what you did, and he blocks too. He's a good blocker. So explain about the tight end position, what you brought in to our fans. And man, you brought it every game, and obviously you're known for blocking too. So
yeah. I think when I came out at the time, and now things are starting to transition a little bit more into like the pass catching tight end. because it's more of a pass happy league now than it was before when I was playing. I was playing, it was all about kind of the run game, West Coast offense, tight ends catching maybe 65, 70 balls a year, the high note. And so when I came out, I was actually about 252. And I kept remembering my coach telling me, like, look, if you want to get up in the NFL, you got to gain weight. You got to gain weight.
Right.
And so now a guy being 252 would be perfect. And they'd be like, look, maybe even somebody who's smaller. But Gronk does a tremendous job. Like I said, big stature guy, can do it all, blocks, catches the ball really well, physical guy. And so when he goes out there with the passion that he plays, you can't but help but enjoy it. But some of the, the things that they look for good tight ends, and that's part of like the measurables. My day was all about the measurables. You got to be 6'5", like I said, 260, 265, and you're blocking defensive ends like Reggie White and Bruce Smith, Charles Haley, Kevin Green, guys like that. And so you have to have a little bit of lead in your tail, to kind of hunker down, so that was very important. It was very important to get the running back through the hole. If not, then you would have got thrown out the club, and embarrassed on TV. So, but and that's kind of like where I was at the time. And I actually used to stretch the field when I was in Philly. Before I had 2 knee surgeries, I had to go to Kansas City and kind of regulate it into more of the blocking tight end. Kind of created that niche. And I'm gonna give a lot of that credit with the guys that was in front of me, and Ed West and Jimmy Johnson. These guys, when I came here to Philadelphia as a rookie, they just took me under their wings. And one thing they had down, it was a specialist. It was Ed West, the toolbox, knew how to block. He was an undersized tight end, but could absolutely get his hands inside and block guys out. And Jimmy Johnson, same thing, would just move guys around. So it's an art that's kind of lost a little bit now, right? Because I said, where guys kind of move out, you start seeing them more like slotted tight ends who can kind of run routes and get open and use their athletic ability. Man, I would have absolutely strived. I would have loved to have been in the offense similar to that the guys play today, where you're not your hand in the dirt. Not that I love blocking, I do. But sometimes it's getting out there in the wide split. Challenging linebackers and safeties is kind of where you always wanted to live. So.
Yeah, like you said, you hit it right on the head. This era, you'll find tight ends where they can spread the field, catch from the outside. Like for example, we have in Dallas, his name is Jordan Schultz. He spreads from the outside, and he's a good tight end. Developing into a good tight end. So we'll see some of those tight ends now.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's good to have blocking tight ends too, to like you said, to block good pass rushers in the league. So
yes.
Yeah, so we are live with former Eagles and Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. We already have a fan question for you. One of our fans want to know. They want to ask you about your college days and they want to know what was it like playing for Eastern Kentucky.
So playing for Eastern Kentucky was really a Division I AA powerhouse, and so when I went up there, we had the Coach Kidd, who was one of the winningest coaches of all time, and he had a really wonderful culture, bringing guys in and developing champions and championship mindset. And our mantra, what we had, it was a matter of pride. We took pride in what we did out there on the football field, how we conducted ourselves, and it was really kind of a really tight family atmosphere. We all had a chance to kind of live in the same dorm together. So, having that closeness, obviously when it translated on the field, the guys just kind of fighting for one another, for their brothers, and, kind of going in for, if you will, battle on the football field, on the gridiron. But man, playing at Eastern was an absolute joy. That was some of the greatest years of my life, and some of my greatest friends are still from Eastern. And so we still talk today, man, on a daily, actually, just talking about all the old stuff. And, like I said, man, it's family to me. So playing at Eastern, man, it was really invigorating, that, having a place like that where you win a lot, you had a winning tradition, really did a lot to set up my confidence in playing in the NFL. I think sometimes teams look for guys like that come from like winning programs to say, hey, look, this guy understands what it means to be a winner. He already has a winning mindset. He has a striving, successful mindset about what it is he wants to do. And so I know Coach Kidd, Roy Kidd, and the staff down there absolutely they nurtured that culture for sure.
Yeah, and the talent's been growing there at Eastern Kentucky. And what do you like about? I want to piggy off from our fans' question. What do you like about the program now at Eastern Kentucky?
For the simple fact they're growing. This is the first year. Last year, I think, was the first year they actually went Division I.
Yeah.
And so that was good because back then there was a lot of talk that we were moving up, to Division I. Probably should have done it, but now I think they see the vision. They see as far as teams where they're going, and we have Walt Wells is doing a great job down there right now with Eastern, and I've always like seeing a guy that's been there at the program before, under Coach Kidd. So he understood also too what that meant, that tradition. And so I like the guys that's down there right now. And they actually have the spring game this weekend. So I plan on showing up to go see what they have out there on the field, man. But it's always good, man, to go down there and get that same the memories coming up, drumming up in you. And Eastern, man, is growing. I think they're going to do well. I think they have a great coach that's going to do truly well for them and bring their winning tradition back to Eastern in a more consistent nature like it was in the past. And so, we look go Colonels. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. So speaking of reunions, going back to see your former teammates, what's that like for an athlete just to be able to, not able to stay in contact for a while, but you guys have opportunities to go to events, go meet up again, your former teammates, have fun. And what's that like for an athlete though, just to meet up with former teammates that you used to play with?
Man, it's like going back home.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like where things started. It's like one of the points of your beginning where you're in the nature of growth at the time, and you're growing together. And so when you come back home and everybody's celebrating kind of your success, and you getting them to the NFL was kind of like everybody else getting there too. I always have one great. I wish. Now I tell these guys all the time. I said, I wish more y'all had a chance to come and see me play.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes it's difficult, because you guys are 27 years old, they start life, don't really have the resources to kind of get to where you need to go. Right. I'm like, hey man, meet me in LA. And he's like, hey man, I gotta try to work. I just started it. I can't go out to LA. And would love to. And so it's good to reminisce. It really is. To just see the guys, man, the heart feelings, guys that I love. Like I said, treat them as my family, my brothers. And so it's always something it's a feel good time. It's always a feel good time when we see each other, man. It really is. Old friends, just lifelong brothers.
We have another fan question. They want to know, what's the one quote you live by?
Ooh, one quote that I live by. Oh, that's a good one. I got several of them. I think my main one is, let me see. I got it down. That with God, all things are possible. And I just had to find the strength, and a lot of my Bible verses is really where I'm at. Because, like I said, my faith is really dear to me, and so I have several verses that I really live by, and it's always just encouraging, kind of go back and see. But anything from Proverbs always has some really good, wonderful words to live by. But with Christ that strengthens me is where I'm at. That's where I live with, man. So that's kind of, I know that to be true for me, and I adhere to that because I understand that I wouldn't have had a 12-year career in the NFL if I didn't have that, faith in the Lord. So that is something that powers me every single day, that I can live in a true free life the way that I feel, and I can love people openly, and so that's one thing, man. Just following the words of Christ, and living His life. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, that's a great question from our fan. They're bringing it today.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your Philly career, and I'm just curious, how long did it take you to adjust to a big to the market like Philly, where you expect to win right away, and the fans can get on the players quickly if you guys don't perform? So for you, I'm just curious about your adjustment period as a rookie coming in. But at least you had other players around you that already been through the experience. So for you, what was that adjustment period like for you there?
It was really eye-opening. It really was. Like I said, coming from a smaller market from Eastern Kentucky, which is it's this nothing like it is in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, and I learned real quick. Don't listen to the radio or read the newspapers. And so I remember I was going back home, and I lived in Jersey, and I was listening to the radio. I think it was 610, maybe Howard Eskins, I think, was talking at the time. I forgot who it was that was actually on the radio. But they were just like berating us, just coming in. I was like, oh my, aren't we the team? We the home team, aren't we? Like I'm expecting fans, and so Jimmy Johnson was like, look, man, hey, stay away from that. Stay away from the radio and the newspapers. He said, because it's going to be negative. Most of the time you're going to read, they're going to be hard on you. But at the time we had Stephen A. Smith was up there. He would come into the locker room talking to him.
Oh wow!
So yeah, man, it was tough. Like that, just that level of expectations, right? That you would get from fans, but they would love you also too. It was another thing. You come out, they would love you. They love you to death. But they'll talk about you. Hey, y'all should have did this, and you should have caught this pass. And I don't know what Ray, I don't know what them guys are doing, but y'all gotta do better than this. And I respected that. I did. I respected it. And it was one of those things. Adjusting to it, it maybe took me probably half a year to kind of get it. Like I said, man, I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Well, here in Kentucky, where it's like that Southern hospitality. So when I came to Philly, I was talking to everybody like, hey, how you doing? And people looking at me like, what? Like, why are you talking to me? I'm like, hey, like, that's how we do. This is what we do down here in Kentucky. We say hi to everybody, no matter who you are. Hello. It's just, how we do it this way. So it was a little tough, but I got it. There was some really great people up there in Philadelphia, still great people up there in Philadelphia. When I go up, sometimes for the alumni game and stuff, I still get love going down there, man, in South Philly and Jersey and whatnot. So it's still good. It's always good, man. Good people. Good people.
You gotta let us know when you guys come down, when you come down to Jersey. We gotta meet up in person too.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of, wow, Stephen A. Smith has been in the business for a long time. Was a young Stephen A. Smith still the same as he is now?
Now, I mean, you hear more of his voice. I mean, it's, when he coming in, he's obviously a reporter kind of coming in, kind of talking, but it didn't really, like I said, because I try to stay away from all of that as much as possible. So when he come in, now he was cool. He was, come in and, always had a little swag about him. And so now I get a kick out of it because when I see him out there, I just like, man, Stephen A. I said, man, he used to come in all the time. And we used to see him in in Philly. And so now it's just when I hear him and he's talking with these things, it's kind of I wouldn't say it's mind blowing, but I get a kick out of it sometimes. So he's been going in lately on a lot of people. So he's been having a whole lot to say.
He always hates on my Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh man, he loves doing that. Of course, man. Hey, it's true.
Yeah. So tell our fans about being with Jimmy Johnson, a Super Bowl winning head coach, obviously a great, obviously a legend in the NFL. So what was it like being around Jimmy Johnson throughout your career?
So Jimmy Johnson, the tight end, is what I'm. Is the guy that I was talking about.
Oh, so, sorry, I messed up.
No. But I remember seeing Jimmy Johnson on the side with Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now I would say this. Some of the greatest games that I played in was obviously down in that stadium in Dallas. And the guys we used to go through. That's when they had Charles Haley, they had Dion at the time. All the Troy, Emmett, Michael. So watching those guys work, man, was actually, man, it's a treat to watch them. But we enjoyed putting that helmet on them as much as we could, and we was giving it to them the times. So at the time, they talk about the teams of the '90s and out there, and so the Cowboys always are up there. But we used to give the Cowboys the business, no doubt about it. So there was been some tough losses, some really good wins. Playing against those guys is just a great rivalry game. But I'll tell you this one nugget. I'll give you this one story. Playing down in Dallas. So we're playing on Monday Night Football, and I'm on the punt team. Dion's back there returning. Dion catches the football. Now I spread out. I think I'm the tackle, so I got like the wide lanes, right? And I'm like, okay. Now Dion's starting to come out to the outside. I'm like, oh man, look, Dion's fast when I'm fast too. Okay, I ran a legit 4.5. I know Dion's fast, but I know I'm fast too. So I'm thinking, Monday Night Football, I make his tackle on Dion. It's going to be perfect. Absolutely perfect, right? I hope everybody's going to cheer. They're going to see me on Monday Night Football. And sure, he starts that little skip, and he goes and cuts to the outside. So I'm already like, tracking him down. I'm like, oh, I got him. And as soon as I'm ready to run and kind of unload on Dion, I get blasted from the side, like just depleted. And I'll never forget it, who it was. Billy Davis. Billy Davis, who was a gunner. And I guess he was on a guy that used to double the gunners on the outside, but he had turned it. I guess he had seen me, and he had hit me from the side, man. And so I got hit on this sideline, right in front of the Dallas sideline, in front of Jimmy Johnson, Charles Haley, all those guys. And I remember they were just sitting up there just cheering. I was like, dang. I was like, man, that was a good hit. And while I was on the ground, Charles Haley, and, they always talk about how he is, man. It's just crazy, stuff like that. He's looking at me, and he was off. I don't think he was playing that day, because I think he was back with something or something. He just looks at me. He's like, hey, Dunn. I look up at him. He's like, ooh, just, and I was just like, this, this classic Charles Haley. But we end up, I come out, the trainers run out to me. And I'm just like, listen, do not touch me. Because if you touch me, everybody's going to know I'm hurt. So don't touch me. Just make sure I walk back. So I walked back to the sideline, found, spit out a little bit, make sure I wouldn't bleed, anything like that. Well, it came down to it. And I think people realize, the fans, is when we had like the botched field goal. At the end, we was going to win the game. And it was, we fumbled a snap. I think that's what happened. Me ended up fumbling the snap. And now I was supposed to be on that side, but because I had got hurt, I had a hip pointer. So I couldn't go in.
Wow.
Fumbled the snap. He takes off running, tries to throw the ball, man. It all goes down. Monday Night Football was just it was a terrible, terrible loss, because we had the game won. We had it. All we'd do is kick the field goal. It was it. Game was over. And so we botched that, and me not getting hurt, getting depleted on national TV on Monday Night Football. I had a chance to hit Deion Sanders, and none of that happened. And believe me, that's when cell phones and stuff came out, and I heard it from everybody.
Wow.
Cowboys fans, it was in my family, and friends were like, man, who was it that hit you like that? Man, we need to go get him next time. I was like, look, don't worry. But I think I chased Billy Davis around for like 2 years.
Wow.
Trying to get him back. So it was a good story, man. The Cowboys was a great rival. It was always good, man, to challenge these guys. But couldn't stand them. Couldn't stand them, man, when they played. So I don't know.
There's still a great rival till today. And so sorry for making that mistake. Let me say this. What was it like playing with Jimmy Johnson, the tight end?
So Jimmy Johnson, the tight end, playing with him, man, was it was a lot of knowledge. It was good because he'd already played 10 years in the league. Took me under his wing, him and Ed West. Ed had played for 13. And so to get that type of instruction and tutelage from guys like that had experience, man, you couldn't really put a price on it, to be honest with you, because they taught me everything, what it meant to approach the game, how to be a pro, and they took care of me. You're talking about like some of the, the hazing and all these things that go on with it. They never treated me that way. they always treated me, like a professional, but it's like, hey, look, Rook, that's what they call me, Rook. All you need to go do for us is when we want something to eat, just provide food for us on the plane. And I'm like, cool. He said, man, other than that, you don't have to answer nobody else. We got you. So those guys, man, had a lot of respect and whatnot on the team. And so, man, under me, I was their little brother. Look, don't, This is our rookie, it's our little brother. Ain't nobody gonna mess with him. Ain't gonna be none of that hazing and stuff. So when those guys used to go up, because that used to happen, you had to go up and sing in front of the team and all that, which guys would try to leave during lunch. So they didn't have to sing early, come and eat real fast and leave. And so you knew the team would call you out like, no, stand up. We got to sing something. And I was like, oh, man, I got to sing. And that was like one of the most embarrassing things. So I never had to do it. I never got hazed like, for a rookie. So that was mild. There wasn't no bad thing, but, just getting up and those things, man. But having that, those guys in front of me, man, was paramount in my development as an NFL football player, because they taught me everything I needed to know as far as like being in the league. So they helped me out tremendously.
Wow, yeah. And obviously you got to learn from great you got to learn from another great tight end in Kansas City, Tony Gonzalez, Hall of Famer, one of the best tight ends in my opinion. And for you, obviously you went from a great franchise in Philly to another one, Kansas City, where the fans are crazy. The Arrowhead Stadium, toughest stadium to play in. But for you, what was it like going from Philly to Kansas City? And obviously, I just mentioned Tony Gonzalez, playing with him too.
Yeah, I mean, me and Tony, I think we learned from each other. Tony learned a lot from me as well, kind of in the blocking scheme, the passing scheme, because I came in a year before Tony. And so, like I said, I had older guys in front of me, so I knew how to kind of maneuver a lot of the NFL. So I was kind of like the old head when I got there to Kansas City, just a year ahead, but that means a lot. In football terms, if you're a year ahead, you're like, okay, hey, look, hey, right. Like, hey, I'm the older guy here, right? It's like the older brother. If I'm a year older than you, then that's what I'm a kind of come out there and show that. But learned a lot as far as just, man, as far as like using your body even more. Like I said, when I was in Philly, I was I used to stretch the field. Like I said, it was legit 4 or 5, 2 knee injuries, and I'm out there in Kansas City and I had to go a different role. And then so playing in Kansas City, coming from Philadelphia, and I kind of left Philly kind of on sour terms, if you will, because I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, and so it didn't quite work out. And so Kansas City, I found a home, and welcomed me with open arms. It was, I think, part of that was, to push and help, drive Tony somewhat. And we when we first get there, guys know that in the league who's who pretty much, plays position. If either you're a starter or, the second guy, who is this guy? So we're really aware of who the tight ends are at the time. And so at the time, it was me and Troy Drayton that came in and Tony. And so we were kind of like this 3-headed monster that was kind of rotate. But, Tony was a guy, no doubt about it. And his dedication to catching the football. Tony had some of the best hands I've seen, in the league, especially for a tight end anyway. I mean, you throw something his way, man, he snatched it. And he did a wonderful job of that to where he is, Hall of Fame guy, the best ever. And so that it came from just a great organization with Lamar Hunt. Lamar Hunt was a tremendous owner of the team, man. He was really personable, knew about your family, would come to the locker room and talk to guys. We didn't really have that as much in Philly. So Lamar was kind of a hands-on guy. He was really passionate about his players, really cared so much about them. Not saying that Jeffrey didn't, but it was a different kind of organization, how they did things in Kansas City. And that's what I appreciated because it seemed a little bit more, I'd say Kansas City's kind of like a big city with a small town mentality. And I just say that because it seems like it's just a little bit more personable. Fans like really enjoyed you. You didn't really get a lot of that, like that angst or that anger as much as you did like in Philly. And so when I used to talk to the media, some of the questions that guys were like, man, why did they talk? I'm like, man, this ain't nothing. Y'all don't even know what it's like to be up in Philly. This is right here, the mediocre part. So you had guys like Jason Whitlock and those guys is out there that, it wasn't really, to me, it wasn't controversial at all. So I thought it was kind of a, easy market, but these guys, you knew them, and it was good to kind of know the sports writers, but also the town, the people. It was wonderful fans, wonderful fans, still are. And so all during that time, I wish I had brought them a championship, but we had gotten it now recently, man, with Pat and those guys. We're talking about good tight ends, man. We got one of the best out there right now, Travis Kelce. Yeah. Travis Kelce, man, and he's going up in that conversation of one of the best ever. I know a lot of people are saying that now. We talk about numbers, and the thing is, he's still striving. He's still striving. I say, man, the Kansas City's had the two best tight ends ever played a game. That's how I look at it. So, GOAT 1 and GOAT 2. So that's how it is.
I'll put you up there too. I'll put you up there too.
Well, appreciate it. My thing was, blocking, and I did a good job of that, man. A lot of guys on the team appreciate it. The fans appreciate it. And the defender people used to appreciate it. The defensive coordinators and whatnot used to appreciate it. They would come up after the game and talk to me about, like, hey, Jason, look, I really love what you do. You're almost like another tackle out there. But that was kind of my thing, man. I would, block anybody. Like I said, I cut my teeth on Bruce Smith, Reggie White, and those guys in that era. And I'm just like, if I had those guys, everybody else to me is easy. I put my hands on anybody. Believe that. So I did. Strahan and all those guys that's who I cut my teeth on. All those guys. So the best.
Yeah. So speaking of the Chiefs now, the Hunt family is still running the team. Obviously, Clark Hunt and Tavia Hunt now running the team.
Yes.
Amazing job with that franchise. And we have another fan question for you. One of our fans want to know, what was your hype music throughout your career?
About what?
Your hype music. Hype.
Hype music?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. What was my hype music during the time? When I was on Philly, man, I used to like a lot of East Coast music, East Coast rap. And of course, when the West Coast used to come and hit up, I used to get on some of that too. That was a lot of my hype music that I used to listen to. So different guys, man, if you talk about just EPMD, you're talking about, KRS-One, you know what I mean? I mean, you could you name it. Nas, I mean, that was Biggie. Yeah. I mean, Tupac, I mean, you name all those guys. And I tell people this all the time, but when I would play games, I would actually listen to classical music. That's what I would listen to. And classical music, they was like, what, really? I'm like, yeah. So because it slowed my mind down. It got you into that, that state of more Zen kind of focus. If you wanted the hype music, they're like, yeah. But sometimes it's not always good to be there all the time up here high. Sometimes it's just calming the noise down. And sometimes it's what you just need to do in your mind, at least for me, that I would listen to that soothing classical music to kind of slow me down. But the hype music, man, you name it, West Coast, shoot, Master P, bring those in, man, with the shoot. 8 Ball, MJG, I mean, come on, man. I mean, where you want me to stop at? So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so obviously when you were, how many times have you tried the Kansas City barbecue when you were playing with the Chiefs?
I mean, I tried it quite a few times. And Gates Barbecue was kind of like the staple everybody talks about. But Kansas City has tons of places. They have some of the best barbecue you're going to find in Kansas City, to me, is my opinion, is some of these places that they call a hole in the walls, right? I remember that I took an exit somewhere on 70 in Missouri, and I found this little spot, hole in the wall, and it was one of the best barbecues I ever tasted. I'm like, man, I called back home because our family kind of deals with barbecue. My cousins and stuff has been doing it for the past 35, 40 years. And I called, it's like, man, this stuff right here is just scrumptious. This is absolutely wonderful barbecue. And so I don't eat as much of it now, but Kansas City has some really, really great barbecue. Alabama Joe's, LC's,
Wow.
Gates. I mean, you name it. They have some really great spots. 39 right now is one out in Kansas City that does great barbecue too. So really good spot, man. Really great spot.
Well, yeah. So for you, tell our fans about some of your best moments or best games you have with the Kansas City Chiefs and playing in front of those amazing fans and especially playing in the Arrowhead Stadium, which is amazing.
Oh my goodness, man! Oh man, wonderful games. 8 years of playing there. Obviously you can get into the playoffs, and the lows of not winning, the playoffs like we should, the games. We always had tough competition. We had to contend against Peyton Manning, and then him coming into town. I don't know how many times we lost to him. I think lost to him 3 times in the playoffs, I believe so. So Peyton was like one of those, man, thorns in your side. He was that guy that you knew when he come in. He had a little run, a long head and a long torso. And you knew when he came in, you're like, oh shoot, here he comes. Yeah. Hey, gotta watch this guy, because he's ready to win it. And so I was actually, one of the games I'll talk about is it was the no punt game. It was a playoff game. And we had actually was in for the AFC championship, I believe. No. It was to go to the AFC championship game. We had a bye that week. And so we had Peyton Manning and the Colts to come in. And it came down to who had the ball last pretty much. And what ended up happening, there was no punts the entire game. No punts. Now, I don't know if there's any other game like that I know, but I know in the playoff games, there was absolutely 0 punts. And that's something that people can look up. That's a nice little nugget right there for people to know, kind of a sports information thing. But what ended up happening, I think we was running, Priest was taking off running. He had broke, for a long run. And somebody came out the back and punched it out, which Priest rarely fumbled. I could just remember that the fumble, that right there in itself, is probably the only time I really remember Priest fumbling, to be honest with you. So Priest in itself was such a dynamic player, man. One of the best, players out there, man, in the league. A guy that needs to be considered for the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Priest Holmes, without a doubt, because of his body of work, what he did. But all his numbers bear it out too. And that's what ended up happening. He ended up fumbling. They got the ball back in. So at the end of the game, they ended up scoring, and that's how we lost. We lost that game. No punt game. But some great games. Great games.
Priest Holmes, man, what a great player. Like you said, a great player. I think he, in my opinion, one of the best running backs to play in the NFL, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And we had Tony Richardson on our show too, your former teammate with the Chiefs.
T. Rich, okay. Man.
Yeah. So for you, what was it like? That year with the Chiefs team, I feel like you guys had the physical toughness to every player you had on that team. So especially with Tony Richardson, what was it like playing with a fullback like that? And you mentioned Priest Holmes. I feel like you guys had like players that brought tall players also brought the toughness too at the same time.
Yeah, man. Look, we T. Rich was one of the best fullbacks in the game, at that time, and I just say, man, probably up there, to be honest, ever with his body of work and what he did. He used to be a running back too. T. Rich used to tote the ball as a running back. A lot of people didn't know that, and he used to play with Dallas. He left Dallas, came back to Kansas City. Yeah. So T. Rich, man, a great guy, man, guy of faith, would come in and absolutely take your head off. And we just had such a wonderful group of guys, from T. Rich to that all pro, one of the best lines that ever played the game. I always say, with Will Shields, Casey Wigman, Brown Waters. We had, let me see, who else? We had John Tate. We had John Wellborn. Jordan Black, Chris Bobert. I mean, you had it all up and down, man. Like we had 2 Hall of Famers, Willie Roth, Will Shields, Brown Waters going to be considered. Tony Gonzalez is one tight end. Priest Holmes, Tony Richardson, and the guy that was at the helm of this all, man, was Trent Trent Green. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Trent Green. And not to mention our receivers. Our receiver core was great too. So we had Eddie Kinnison,
Dwayne Bowe.
Eddie Kinnison, Dwayne Bowe, Johnny Morton. We had Dante Hall, the human joystick.
Yeah.
So Snoop Minnis, we had Sylvester Morris, a ton of guys. Sammy Parker. I mean, you name it. Go up and down on guys, man. It was really was transcendent for our success. Not to mention, like you said, Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Kimber Anders, Donnell Bennett,
Tamba Ali, Ty Law, Patrick Surtain.
Tamba Ali, defense. Tamba. I know you said shout out to Tamba, man, for being on the show, man. He's doing some wonderful, wonderful, creative music right now, man. Some really good stuff. And so I could always vouch for what Tamba was doing, man, especially on the field, because he was such a hard worker. Like that guy, man, was incredible. Still is incredible. And he's doing the same thing. He's bringing that passion to his music, and you can hear it in all his music. So shout out to Tamba Ali, man. Go get his music, get a chance and download it and check it out on Spotify and Apple. But he's doing some great things. And I think Dwayne Bowe's doing some things too. Mm-hmm. But then you talk about, just our defense. There's a lot of guys, man, that did a great job. And, Jared Allen, Jerome Woods, at the time we had Hasty, we had Derek Johnson,
Ty Law,
Mike McNasky,
Ty Law.
Ty came in for play for us, for 1 year, man. We had some guys. We had some really good guys out there, we had what's the name of two? Patrick Surtain.
Oh yeah,
Patrick Surtain can play with us. Yeah, Pat played with us too, man. Pat was lockdown corner. So we had some really good guys, man. Eric Hicks, John Brown. I mean, you name it. We had some really, really solid guys that I played with, and I think that team. We had success. We had some success with what we did. But, like I said, sadly, we didn't get to win the big win like we wanted to for the fans. Fans really deserved it at the time. We were 13-3 that 1 year. That 1 year that Chad Johnson declared that they was going to beat us. We was undefeated. We went up there. He's like, we will beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and they did it. So,
wow.
Horrible. Yeah.
Did you
really good?
Did you ever go? During practices? Did you go? What was the practice like? Practices like against the defense, the Chiefs defense, especially going against Jared Allen, if you did, and also Ty Law and some of these other defensive players you went up against practice. How was practices like for you?
Well, I mean, it was always competitive in practice. It was a good thing, because if you're going against some of the best guys in the NFL, then obviously you're going to be good. I mean, it's probably the best practice you could possibly have, because you're going against a guy that's going to be better than the guy you're going against on Sunday. And so that helps develop you. Jared was a young guy kind of coming in, and so he had to learn the ropes, man. He had a lot of talent, he had a lot of talent. We had some good tussles on that end. So I would come down and the passing game, that I come down and pass blocking part of the segment of practice too. So it was good, man, kind of going against him. He tied them guys out there, man. So it helped bump up everybody else. Everybody else was challenged around you. So it was a good atmosphere to really learn. But man, like I said, we had some really good guys. And all of this was done with Gunther Cunningham. God rest his soul. Gunther was the guy that brought me in. And Dick Vermeil, Hall of Fame nominee right now, is getting into the Hall of Fame. So shout out to him, Dick Vermeil, for his career, what he's done. And congratulations for him getting to the Hall of Fame. And then, of course, the tail end of my career, I ended up having Herm Edwards.
Yes.
So, yeah, just Mr. Hello, you got to play the game. Yeah. You play to win. That's just Herm's little thing, right? So, had some good coaches, some really good coaches out there, up and down, man. We had some really good people in that organization. And just, like you said, it's Lamar Hunt and his legacy. And now Clark is continuing it on. And I'm just so happy for the success that they've had, and they deserve it. Every single one of them. Great family, great organization, top notch to me in the NFL, without a doubt.
Yeah, so we have a couple of fan questions in here, but before we get to that, no disrespect to the Eagles, the team that drafted you, but would you say like Kansas City was the most fun of your career?
The most fun?
Yeah.
Fun in different ways. I think, obviously that was the longest part of my career was out in Kansas City. but I enjoyed Philly too. I used to, man, I love just being on the East Coast. And so I had a lot of fun because that's my first, so I cut my teeth that up in Philadelphia. And like I said, I go to Philly now. I still have a lot of fun in Philly, man. It's just, all the cultures, the diversity and the people, I really enjoy it. So, I always I pay homage to both places because I'm just like, man, that's my family. A lot of guys can't really say, their 12-year career, they only play with two teams. It's kind of tough. Usually it's like three, four, you hear five or six teams guys go to, but Philly and Kansas City, that was kind of my baby. It's my grounds that I lived and got immersed into the community and the people, and I enjoyed every single one of them. Philadelphia is different from Kansas City, but both of those is kind of like at the time I was going through my life, I needed those. It was the right time. I was kind of going through each one of them. So it was good to learn how hard the league was with Philadelphia, and going through all those things. Then getting to Kansas City and like, okay, now I'm just more mature mindset and enjoying those things too. So, but yeah, two great cities. Really are two great cities. I would recommend people go live in both Philly and Kansas City, both. So
yeah, I never been to Arrowhead though. That's one of our goals, to go to Arrowhead to watch a Chiefs game, and I can never wear my Cowboy stuff in Philly. They're gonna trash me. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's a little dangerous.
Yeah,
that's a little dangerous out there.
Yeah,
that's how it used to be up there in Kansas City, being Oakland when it used to be with the Raiders in Oakland.
Yeah,
it was a little dangerous, man. It's a crazy atmosphere. But
so one of our fans want to know, do you have any funny stories throughout your career?
Funny stories? Oh man, I got tons of them. Tons of funny stories. Let me see if I can think of one right now, like the funny story that I could tell. Let me put it that way. Let me see. Oh, here's a good story. Here's a funny story. So another Monday night football game. We're playing Green Bay Packers, and on the other side is without a doubt Reggie White, the great Reggie White, right? So I heard all week, Reggie White, Jason, you're blocking him, you got to get ready. And so in my mind, all I can remember is that when Reggie White took that tackle and just threw him with one arm, that's all I can remember. Just in my head, that vision, okay? Get to the game. Of course, I'm like, okay, this is where I kind of, I got to, get my, my stamp in there, right? It's Reggie White. I can't mess up. So I'm out there and I'm blocking Reggie White. I'm just like, kind of growling, kind of pushing around. And Reggie's not saying anything. He's just no response. Usually, guys are talking noise to you. Yeah, man, you ain't, nothing from the Reverend, okay? At the time, nothing. I'm just like, man. So this goes on, till maybe like second quarter, halftime or something. It's like, man, look, Reggie hadn't said a word to me. I'm telling this to Jimmy and stuff. He's like, nah, man, hey, it's all right. And so he's like, no, don't worry, don't worry. Well, I guess it's like third quarter. I'm blocking Reggie, and Charlie Gardner breaks out for like a long run, and I'm blocking. I'm going back. Reggie White passed me on my butt, like, hey, good block. I turn around and say, with my hand, I'm like, thank you, Mr. White. So I call him Mr. White, turn around. I'm like, thank you, Mr. White. After the sideline, Jimmy Johnson, man, did you just try to shake Reggie White's hand? I said, man, that's Reggie White. That's Reggie White. Yeah. Yes, I just tried to shake the man's hand. He just gave me a compliment. I'm gonna. That's such a funny story, but I immediately turned into a fan. I mean, and that's kind of what it is. You see these guys, you play with these guys on Madden, and you and all these guys, and this is the guys you emulate so much, and all of a sudden you're playing with them. And Reggie White to me was the pinnacle of the NFL. He was the face to me, like of the league. So going against him, man, was a tremendous honor. And I turned into a fan real quick. But he told me, hey, man, good block. I'm like, thank you, Mr. White. Right there in the middle of the field. Like, I just, hey. So it was good. That was a good story. Funny story, yeah.
Hey, that's allowed. You guys can do that. The players that you looked up to and eventually playing against them, man, you can do that. You can be a fan on the field too.
Yeah, I think he's more accustomed now to kind of do and wait till after the game. Like, hey man, can I get your jersey and kind of talk to him then? Well, this is in the middle of the game. I was going back to the huddle and he hit me, and I turned around from the huddle and I turned around, shake his hand, thank you, Mr. White. And I'm like, everybody's like, what are you doing?
Wow.
So yeah.
And yes, and then also one of our other fans wanted to know how tough is it when you were dealing with that knee injury when you were in Philly? Obviously, knee injuries are always tough for an athlete, so they want to know like what did you do to cope with it, and once you got better, and how did they want to basically they want to know how did you deal with it?
Yeah, so my knee injury, I like I said, man, I had kind of successful rookie campaign. I did. I made the all-rookie team. I don't know a lot of people knew it or not, but I made the all-rookie team. Actually had a chance to go play in the beach bowl out in Hawaii. Was MVP of that, that game too. And so I already knew where I wanted to be. I knew what, success. And I told people, I was like, look, get ready. I'm going to be out here. I'm going to try to make the Pro Bowl every single year if everything starts working kind of like I wanted to. So kind of like that sophomore year, you're trying harder. You're trying to, at least tailor the play, the game like you wanted to. And it didn't quite work out that way, So we had a hard time with some of the things. And then I got that knee injury. And it really affected, kind of being out on the field. And so it was tough trying to navigate that part of it. Where I just be honest, man, the game became a job, and it was like when you're not playing and you're hurt, it's like one of the worst things ever because everything's not going your way, and so that adversity I had never really faced like that before, especially like professionally because it's just the stakes are higher, of course, and so it was a lot of like time that I had to reflect on who I was. What I was giving to the game, who I was going to be. And so I would say that knee injury, kind of derailed me. It made me sour. It made me understand the business of the game. And so I think we had, at the time, Chad Lewis started. The Chad man was a tremendous tight end for BYU. Yeah. Shout out to him. That was a great athlete, man, great guy. And he was able to strive. He was. And so, I was, trying to come back from my knee injury, and at the time, kind of working back in, and that was kind of like a time of, like I said, a diversity in my life. That when that season was over, it was like, okay, I'm glad the season is over. Then I got to get myself right physically for the next season because I still wanted to be the starter. That's where I was, kind of back and forth. I wanted to have that, back in that position. And so when the third year, we had gotten Dana Bible as offensive coordinator. And Dana came in from a college system. I forgot where he was at the time, but he got replaced, I think, somewhere in the middle of the season with Bill Musgrave. Used to be a quarterback out there with Denver. Mm-hmm. And Bill came in, he was like, look, Jason, he said, I want to use you like we utilized Shannon Sharp. So kind of that year, that when he took over as offensive coordinator, start working me into the offense a little bit more. I would say that was kind of like, okay, this is when I needed to see, like, how they should utilize me. And he was using me like that. He was, and it was so encouraging, gave me a lot more confidence. And sure enough, end up another knee injury against Green Bay. Nobody hit me. I went up for a ball to catch it, came down, didn't get touched, and I couldn't walk.
Wow.
And so I had to be carried off at halftime, and they told me, man, like, your season's over. And I'm like, what? What do you mean my season's over? I said, man, look, let me go on back out and play. And the doctor told me, he said, Jason, he said, I'll tell you this. I promise you this. If you can get up and walk over here to this table, I'll let you play. I'm like, okay, ain't nothing. I get up off the table, try to take a step, and crumble. He's like, yep. He said, man, you're done. And so that was a tough time. It was really a tough time for me, kind of dealing with that. 2 knee injuries, like kind of back to back. My second year, then my third year, and then trying to rehab it, all season. And, at the time, man, now the technology for knees and stuff is totally different than what it was when I was kind of in there. So now the shelf life is a lot shorter, and then you could kind of get back on the field, be ready to get going. Because everything, the technology, like I said, the medicine, all that has just changed drastically. It's gotten better. But I will say it was tough for me, but I needed that for my growth. And I just say that sometimes adversity, people are actually bred out of success, and toughness is bred out of those things, that adverse situations. And so I think it was good for me. And that's what also too, that I had to reflect and say, hey, look, man, God came into my life and touched me. He's like, look, who do you say I am? But also too, how I made you. You're not a football player. You're Jason Dunn that plays football. And when I got that and understood, I said, you know what, if I get another opportunity at this thing, I'm gonna take it for everything that it was worth. And like I said, those 2 years, my 2 years in Philly was kind of like, it was a job. It was like, I was aggravated. It was just, the business side of it. That's when I really found out the business of the NFL was those things. But I'm glad I found out early. But I got to Kansas City, man. I didn't take not one play, not one thing for granted. I took it for everything it was worth. Wow. So people were wondering why I was flying around in Kansas City like I was, enjoying with a smile on my face. That's why, because in Philly, I had a lot of dark times dealing with these things and that adversity, but it made me the person that I am today. Of course, that person when I became a chief too.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. And so now, translating after your career, now you're a coach. You from 2010. And to 2010, 2013, you were offensive line coach for Lafayette High School, and then now you're the current special teams coach for Kentucky State. So what's it like now? What's it been like for you after your career, coaching football now and helping these young kids out get to their goals and sometimes sharing your experiences in the league? So what's that been like for you being a coach now?
Well, it's been wonderful, but I'm not currently with Kentucky State. So I've been gone from Kentucky State for the past, I guess, 3 years, maybe. So it's been a while, maybe even 4. Seasons go in pretty far. But I coached my son in junior high, so I had to get that back. It's a whole. But I didn't know I would like coaching as much as I did. Mm-hmm. And what coaching brings you is the satisfaction that you are actually helping reach the youth. You're helping them, get to where they want to, where their goals, what their dreams are, their aspirations. And so it gave me a lot of that success just dealing with them, a lot of feel good, just seeing them going through the whole process and me being able to pass the information and knowledge on. And so I'm glad that I had high school first, because it taught me how to be a better teacher. And I would say not just teacher, but a better coach. And so I think coaches are teachers. You got to teach kids about the things out on the football field, but also too about life. And so that is something that I always enjoyed. Every one of those kids, man, if I was able to put a stamp on them and just give them the best of all the coaches I got, I always said this, all the good, kids know and people know, good coaches and bad coaches. And so all the good coaches, I always wanted to take little nuggets from them and become that guy and put my spin on it. Right? I learned a lot from them. I had some of the greatest coaches in the world, no doubt about it. And so I try to give that to the kids as far as passion and information and knowledge onto them. And so I'd give it with my personality and, bit of my knowledge too, that I think they enjoyed it. So a lot of kids still come up to me and say, hey, Coach Dunn, and talk and whatnot, man. So I always appreciate that. So you can tell how you being an impact on people's lives. And that is really, that's really encouraging. It feels good for me. I love it.
Yeah. So we have another fan question. They want to know, would you consider being a coach in the NFL down the line?
Yes. Actually, when I left Kentucky State, I put in for a position for the minority coaching, the internship. And so I was close with Carolina. It was the closest I got to it, and hadn't quite pursued it since then, because I wanted to kind of give to my son, be around him, help coach him, help nurture him. And I didn't want to miss that part of his life. he's going to be seeing it this year. And I knew if I had gone there, it would kind of taken away from him. And I had enough of like the road and whatnot. So if there's something down the road, absolutely. But I'm good where I'm at. I'm good kind of making an impact. I got my Dunn for Kids Foundation.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make a difference around here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I'm at, and then kind of, branch it out for the state of Kentucky. So I think it's important, man, that we just give as much information and knowledge to the next generation coming up, with character, leadership, integrity, all those great things, and just teaching real world application and just how to be good at each other. How about that? Just being good people to one another. We need more of that. So that's what I want to give. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job with that. And speaking of your foundation, tell our fans where they can find it and maybe help out with your foundation.
Okay, well, my foundation is Dunn for Kids. So I started out in 2003 out in Kansas City. And so now I'm transitioning now here to Kentucky, doing a little bit more work with it. I'm getting the website up and put out and posted now. That's what I'm going to be doing. So in the next few, hopefully weeks, everything will be up where everybody could get back, and you could, definitely donate to help these kids out. Be a great thing. It's a wonderful thing that you could possibly do. I'm gonna take as much of my knowledge and the resources to the ones that don't have it, and even to the ones that may have it. But we're going to pass information and knowledge on. And so we're always going to talk, integrity, character, honesty, ability, and helping one another. That's what it's all about. And so that's important. And as long as we do that, and come and search the foundation, and hopefully you'll start seeing more of it out here. By the grace of God, man, it's going to be all right. It's going to be good. It's a good thing. So I'm going to give all of me into it, for these kids, because the kids definitely need it. They sure do. They need that leadership. They need that.
Yeah. So a couple more things here before we let you go. Let's talk about tonight's draft real quick. Obviously, your tight end. I'm sure you've been paying close attention to these tight ends in this year's draft. Who are you most looking forward to seeing in the future? Obviously, everybody's talking about McBride from I think it was Colorado State, Trey McBride, Colorado State as a number one tight end in his draft.
Yeah, he does a good job. I like what's his name, Dulcich out there in UCLA.
Dulcich, Greg Dulcich, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about like a pass catching tight end. I mean, he's that guy. And so I think he'll go in and he'll strive into like any offense he goes into. So there's a wonderful class of guys out there. Same thing, big, burly, can run, can catch, can kind of do it all. And I love it. I love where the tight end position is going, and so hats off to these guys, man, that's coming out, because the guys in the NFL right now are the guys that's been showing the way, trendsetters from where we have been at, from Tony to now where Travis is at. And you could talk about, like you said, Gronk,
Darren Waller,
Paul, Kelsey, and I like all those guys, man. What's his name out there in San Fran?
Oh, George Kittle.
George Kittle, those guys, man. I like all those guys. And they now got the tight end which Kelsey and those guys put together, man. Shout out to those guys, because they did a tremendous job. We should have done that back in the day. I wish we had, but they starting to figure these things out. And so the tight end is vital to an offense. It is absolutely vital. And if you don't believe that, then you need to go look at these tight end numbers and what they've been doing. And they are absolutely wrecking shop on the defense. And that's why you need a great tight end like a Kelsey and those guys. Yeah. So these guys that's coming out kind of understand that. They know how to, fit, get open, use their ability, their size to catch the football, and they're physical. And so I'm excited, man. I love where it's going right now in the tight end position. Yeah,
I love when the other tight end, one of my favorite tight ends to watch too was Jermichael Finley from the Packers, and that was another great tight end, and obviously Shannon Sharp was another great tight end back in the day too. And,
absolutely.
So for you,
man, there's some great guys, man. We talking about, like, you talking about Schultz down in Dallas, man. Yeah. I love his. He's a great tight end. Catches the ball well. I'm glad they're getting the ball to him because he deserves it. He's a good tight end. He's a really good tight end. I love watching him. Dallas Goedert, up there in Philly. Zach Ertz, who was with him before. I mean, there's a lot of tons of guys out there right now. Knox up there in the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gesicki down there in Miami. I mean, I could go on and on. Pitts in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys out there. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Darren Waller is a stud. Darren Waller is a stud from Las Vegas. Darren Waller.
Yeah, he is. Darren Waller is an absolute stud. I love him too. I had him on my fantasy. I couldn't get Kelsey, so I got Waller. So Waller,
Yeah, so
great tight end.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, what advice would you give to these young players about tonight going in with their most of them will be with their families, and most of them will be in Vegas too for the draft. So what most important advice would you give them heading into tonight?
Really, man, just enjoy the process. Enjoy the day. Take it for what it's worth. So even if you didn't get at what you thought you was, enjoy it anyway. And don't take it for granted. If somebody passes on you and you get to a team later on, hey, then use that as a motivation, right? To show everybody why they passed on you that they made a mistake. But take it for what it's worth. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. Make sure you enjoy your family, because those are the people that is going to stay in your corner. They're going to love you regardless if you get drafted or not. And as long as you're celebrating with them, you're going to have a good time. And they're going to be happy whether you get drafted in the first round or the seventh round, or you are a free agent. And, do it for them, do it for yourself, and enjoy it at this time. So that's my main thing. But take it for all it's worth. Don't take it for granted. Just keep positive about it.
Yeah, well said over there. Well said. Yeah, and the last two things here. Our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the coach for Grambling. Yeah, Coach Hugh.
That's my guy.
Yeah, now he's the coach for Grambling State University. We're trying to help them prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Appreciate it, man. I love Hugh, man. Great guy, great coach, man. I really always look for his success. He's such a good person, and like I said, a great coach. Mm-hmm. We've had some good rivals when he was out there in Oakland and whatnot, and I had a chance to kind of talk to him when he got up to Cleveland. Matter of fact, I got there because I asked if I could come and see him. He was like, "Yeah, come on in, Jason." So Hugh, man, is a good guy, a really good guy, and so it's glad to hear that about Hugh and his foundation. We'll do what we can to help him out. Seriously. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the center workers right now?
Absolutely. I want to thank every single one of you all for what y'all have done, helping us through the pandemic, not just through the pandemic, but what y'all do every single day in life, whether it be right there by the bedside, taking care of the ones that doesn't have anybody else, caring for the ones that we can't care for. But your service, your resiliency, your confidence, your security, every single one of those things are appreciated. And we need to hold y'all more in high regard and esteem. And we need to think about y'all more than what we do. But I want to say first for me, where my wife, she's in, healthcare, works at a Lexington clinic. I understand what that means. And I see it on y'all faces. Y'all understand what the death and what it's done and told to families. And y'all are there when these things happen, unfortunately. But thank God that you are. And I say that y'all are part of like the angels that's on here on the earth, because it takes particular people to be in that field, man. But I want to say thank you for each and every single one of y'all that's in healthcare, that's been helping the ones that we can't care for ourselves. And thank you.
Well said there. Shout out to your wife. Tell your wife we said thank you for her service too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So there it is. That wraps up episode 1009 with former Eagles, Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. Go follow him on all social media formats. Go follow his foundation. Go check out the foundation. And I just want to say thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor. Happy NFL Draft Day. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone enjoys the draft, and keep up the great work, Jason. We would love to have you back on the show down the line so you can meet the full team. But like I said, keep up the great work and enjoy the draft.
Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it, man. It was such an honor to talk to you, answer these questions, and your fans.
Yes.
This is a wonderful thing that you have in this platform. It's good. Get a chance, come check us out on Chiefs Concerns. We have one on YouTube. We do Spotify and Apple. Also, Chiefs Concerns on Twitter. So we do a YouTube thing too, man. So we're trying to give back, talk to the fans. This should be a great time, man. But anytime you have podcasts and things like this, platforms, we're here to promote it. So we'll do what we can to get you out there, man. But I thank you so much. Appreciate you for having me, brother. I really do.
And no problem. And thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions to Jason. Also, the fans brought it today. And we can also aren't you on Belief podcast too? Belief podcast.
Yes, Belief podcast. Yes, Belief podcast is where we are. With that company, that network.
Yeah, and then we're wishing your sister a speedy recovery too. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate.
Okay, let me.